You are watching Reading Assignment, a pre-recorded book review program, from local contributor, James O'Flynn.
Good evening. Welcome to Reading Assignment, a bi-weekly program in which I, Professor James O'Flannery, share my thoughts on sundry titles in the genres of history, politics, and social commentary. This week I have a very special treat for you, as I will be reviewing the latest work from none other than my former and most excellent pupil, Mr. J. Cost. And before you ask, no, I am not jealous at all that this little dweeb has been published 5 goddamn times, while my numerous illuminating and deeply profound manuscripts languish on my bookshelf like beached whales, slowly rotting under the cruel and remorseless gaze of a searing sun. Balderdash, what on earth gave you that idea? Mr. Cost matriculated to the University of Virginia in 1997, where he majored in history and government and hopefully got laid. In 2017, he earned his doctorate in political science from the University of Chicago, but that doesn't make him a real doctor, so... While preparing his dissertation, Mr. Cost began writing for several unimportant outlets. He joined the American Enterprise Institute in 2018 and was recently promoted to Gerald R. Ford Non-Resident Senior Fellow. Whatever the hell that means.
Why don't you come over and watch the game and we'll have nachos, and then some beer.
Mr. Cost's first monograph was published in 2012, the aptly titled Spoiled Rotten. This was followed by A Republic No More, 2015, The Price of Greatness, 2018, a biography of James Madison, 2021, and finally Democracy or Republic, ? Published just this year. These are personal facts. In reading Mr. Cost's latest effort, I was sincerely struck by the breadth and extent of Mr. Cost's flagrant plagiarism of my lectures. There's hardly anything here that I haven't already told him when he was just a pimple-faced youngster. But do I see a royalty check? Goodness no, I see jack shit. But anyway, I guess we should get going. In the memorable phrase of H.L. Mencken, the great sage of Baltimore, democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it good and hard. But is this true? Or was Mencken simply really horny at the time? Here is my opinion. Durable and effective self-government is perhaps the most difficult task men have ever attempted to perform. There may be more complex scientific or industrial problems, which only a small handful of men can solve. There may be more dramatic military feats, which only a small number of men can achieve. But self-government requires the participation of everyone. The competent, the virtuous, the wise, the far less competent, virtuous, or wise, and even women. Each and every one of us motivated more than anything by our passions and our self-interest. How then can a self-governing polity cohere? How can a democracy avoid the inevitable descent into mob rule? How can a republic avoid the centralization of power under either one or a small number of men? These are the questions that preoccupied the minds of the Founding Fathers, and the subjects which Mr. Cost relates with such skill and such clarity. After providing an overview of what one might call the letter of the Constitution, Mr. Cost embarks upon his primary mission to acquaint the reader with the spirit, the constitutional theory of consensus. This is the idea that laws should only be enacted after a long period of consideration and debate across the wider political body. The United States Constitution, with its system of checks and balances, is almost perfectly designed to facilitate this slow and sometimes arduous process, which plays out not only on the floors of the congressional chambers, but also in our living rooms, around our kitchen tables, and at our places of business. As we, the people, consider which politicians to vote for and which policies we would like them to either advance or to impede. And, as Mr. Cost routinely emphasizes, we owe this process of slow consensus building to the inimitable genius of one man, James Madison. Madison argued in a brilliant refutation of prior political thinkers, such as Montesquieu, that a large and expansive republic is inherently more stable than a small and provincial one. The Union of American States, with its sheer size and incredible multidimensional diversity, naturally promotes just this kind of consensus and compromise, all of which leads one to suspect that Mr. Cost would agree with the assertion that size matters. It matters a lot, actually, so long as we're talking about constitutional republics and democratic consensus building, which of course we are. Nevertheless, and to his great credit, Mr. Cost refuses to shy away from the disadvantages posed by such a system either. In what was, for me, the most fascinating chapter in his book, Mr. Cost examines the manifold critiques against constitutional consensus, to wit, its inexpediency, its legislative complacency, its unique vulnerability to graft and petty bargaining, and its frequent neglect of slowly emerging problems until the point of crisis. Unlike many modern commentators, who noisily complain about national gridlock as if it were a flaw rather than a feature of the system, which only goes to show they have not done the reading, Mr. Cost acknowledges these trade-offs while keeping his eye on the main prize: stability and national unity. As Madison argued, and as Mr. Cost relates, a republic that is too responsive to the clamor of the people will inevitably become unstable. Either a majority faction will rise to dominate the rest, or transient majorities will tug and yank the nation in different counterproductive directions. A bit like my father stumbling out of the bar before he'd come home and give me the strap. "Ah, Jimmy boy, you'll never get anywhere if you don't concentrate. Why won't you do the reading? Try it again, from the top. Quam Dio etiam furor isti tuus nos elutud? Ah, no, you've done it all wrong. Conjugate, boy. Past participle. Don't make me hurt you, Jimmy boy." Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. However, when a republic is not democratic enough, it will also become unstable, since it will inevitably produce deep and abiding tensions between the voiceless majority of the population and the tiny governing elite at the top. The trick is to find the right mix of democratic and anti-democratic elements, which will vary from people to people and nation to nation. It's a bit like Goldilocks trying to find the soup that's not too hot, nor too cold, the soup that's just right. Otherwise, a bear will eat her or something. Can't really remember the story, to be honest with you. Over the course of its slim 140 pages, which proved an easy read, by the way, too easy, some might say, Democracy or Republic, ? Adroitly makes the case that the American political system, when functioning properly, is a marvel of applied political philosophy. Why aren't figures such as Madison and Hamilton, asks Mr. Cost with palpable rage, given anywhere near the attention paid to Machiavelli, Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, or Marx? Is it because they were not, strictly speaking, philosophers? Is it because they were political men, practical men, men who got shit done? Should their imperishable contribution to political philosophy be excluded simply on the basis that it is a practical document still in use nearly 250 years later? If these sorts of inquiries and commentaries seem of any interest to you, and they should, you ignorant, petulant freaks, then I cannot recommend Democracy or Republic, highly enough. Christmas is on the way, you know, and this neatly bound and fine-smelling volume would make a terrific stocking stuffer. And I do believe this is the first time in my life I have ever used the phrase stocking stuffer when not engaged in sexual innuendo. Anyway, you have your assignment. Democracy or Republic? Buy it now.